Have you ever heard a family story that made you think, that can't possibly be true? Or maybe you've been told something incredible, like a great grandmother who walked across an island to escape a tsunami, but there's no document that proves it. Tracy asked me a great question. Can I include details that were told to me? No documentation, it's only oral history. My answer, absolutely. But there's a right way to do it. Let me show you how to include oral history in your family history writing, whether it's a story told around the kitchen table or an ancestral tradition passed down for centuries. Some cultures only have oral history for centuries and for the present. In Rapa Nui, Easter Island, genealogies were memorized and recited during ceremonies. In Samoa, oral history preserves chiefly lineages and village histories, sometimes stretching back 30 generations. In Ireland, local lore was passed down long before parish registers were kept. If we ignore oral history just because it's not proven in a document, we risk losing voices, values, and the experiences that shaped our ancestral world. But, and here's the historian in me talking, we also have a responsibility to be clear with our readers. And that's where good writing practice comes in. Always say who told you and when. This shows respect for the source and helps future readers evaluate the story. Here's an example. According to my grandmother Tui, who told me this story in 1997 while we sat on her front porch in Apia, and continues. That's so much stronger than saying, family stories saying, and then you tell the story. Number 2, signal that what you're going to share is oral tradition. You can, if you don't have a specific person who told you the story and when, then you need to use phrases like, family tradition holds that, it is said within our family. Stories passed down in our Wanue tells us. These clues tell readers, this hasn't been documented, but it's part of our heritage. Third, provide context if possible. Is this a common story type in the culture? An example from Rapa Nui is legends of long sea voyages feature prominently in Rapa Nui oral history, including this account passed down in our family. You see, that's how you can say it's part of the culture, it's passed down, and then you can tell the story. Here's an example if you're writing from a Scottish oral tradition. The tale of a lost heir returning home echoes a familiar theme in the Highland storytelling tradition. So notice this adds credibility even if you can't prove the story exactly. Now, sometimes oral histories turned out to be, let's say, creative, and that's okay. Your job is not to erase it necessarily. Your job is to tell the truth about the story. So in those situations, you can write, although I have not found documentation to support this story, it continues to be told within our family. Or even, later research revealed that no tsunami occurred in that year, but the story remains part of our family's sense of survival and strength. Notice you're being honest, ethical, and that is powerful storytelling. What are you going to do with your oral histories to take action today? Well, so your first step is to interview a relative wherever possible. Ask them to tell you a family story. Record their person's voice or put them on video if possible. And then write up the story using the steps we've covered before on this channel. Plus, the recording of the family story by the person who's telling the story becomes a source you can cite and others can reference. Additionally, you can leverage their storytelling in other audio and visual projects, which are creative forms of family stories, which we have talked about on this channel. Next, write your story in layers. Layer 1 is to tell the story as it was told to you. Layer 2 is to explain where it fits into the family or cultural tradition. And layer 3, add your research commentary, what's documented and what isn't, whenever possible. Step 3, repeat the process. The more stories you gather from different relatives, the stronger your family history repertoire and library becomes. Family history isn't just about names and dates. It's about voices, memory, and some would say meaning. Oral history belongs in your family writing as long as you handle it with clarity and that you credit who told the stories. Now, have you ever included our oral history in writing? Could you tell me about it in the comments? I'd love to hear what stories have shaped your family. If this video was helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more tips on writing your family history. And remember, if family history isn't fun, you're doing it wrong. It's time for another viewer mailbag with a twist. Instead of a question, a viewer wrote a comment. Now, since this comment needs debunking, I'll protect their privacy. But I hope y'all know this isn't an attack, but just a point of clarification. But before we get into that comment that someone wrote, let me give you the tip. Be careful with your assumptions, especially about their emotions. So here was the comment. People in the 1920s were taught not to show emotions. Okay, maybe that was a thing in certain circles, but let's be real. People are more complex than that. Cultural norms vary by region, by class, by religion, and by individual family members. Sure, some high-born English families may have emphasized emotional restraint, but others showed affection freely. I've read firsthand accounts that prove both. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of other assumptions people make. People were taught this, people didn't do that, and yet they did it anyway. So be very, very careful about writing assumptions into your stories because somebody somewhere said people did this and people did that. Never assume because chances are your ancestor broke the mold. If you want any more tips on how to write your family's histories, be sure to leave those in the comments section below.